Hello, everyone. Just a week after the solstice and 5 days after the full moon, we are going to have a beautiful structure up in the sky, which may help us to really kind of somehow balance what is uh, emotionally disturbing and at the same time not really plausible intellectually. It's going to be a water trine, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and the participating planets and celestial objects are rational, very rational. So it's water and air, and that is why I gave the title for this video, common sense dipped in water. Because if you come to think of it, these two elements, water, emotions, empathy, and air, rationality, logic, communication, are really mutually exclusive elements. You either do something by common sense or according to your feelings, and these often clash. But now we are going to have a moment in time when we could utilize actually both. We can utilize, not just utilize, but actually this is a moment where you can kind of offset a bad experience. You can talk to your loved ones. You can concentrate on rectifying something that you haven't been able to. Let's take a look at the London chart, which the exact moment, I chose the exact moment when Mercury, the fastest of the three planets, makes the exact trine to Pallas Athena retrograding in Scorpio. And Mercury in Cancer is quite prominent and quite strong. First of all, it is in a cardinal sign. It's cardinal water, which means that I'm going to tackle the emotions. I'm going to know what human emotions are. And Mercury means that you can even express those. And as you can see, this happens in the small hours at 6:24, which is quite early for anything in London, especially. And as you can see, Pallas Athena is in Scorpio. And actually, they both make a grand trine to Saturn. What is Saturn doing in Pisces? Actually, not too much, because the Lord of Karma doesn't like to be in Pisces. It's going to be a little bit mishy-mushy, as I often said. And Pallas Athena also doesn't like to be in Scorpio, because the goddess of wisdom hates really deep and ugly emotions. And Scorpio is a sign where we learn all those emotions, how they range from pure hatred to possessive love, really. So that's what we learn here. And at the same time, the fact that these three planets are creating a water grand trine gives us hope that maybe we will be able to do something about our running amok emotions, and just try to put some common sense into the space time. So if you need to rectify anything emotionally, if you want to understand other people's emotions, your loved ones' emotions, this is the time. You can actually use common sense, and at the same time, you don't need to exclude your emotional background or your emotional feelings. And then if you look at the space-time moment in London, you can see that Mercury is rising. So actually, the psychopomp is leading you to do and to do what's right, what's diligent, what should be. Neptune is on the midheaven, opposite Black Moon Lilith on the IC. Both are aneretic. In 2 days, Lilith will be moving into the next sign, into Libra, but at the moment it is stuck in Virgo. By the way, it is also aligned with the supergalactic center, which is one of the main key celestial areas in karmic astrology, denoting nothing is ever enough. So those are the main points. And as you can see, Mars is in a separating conjunction with Dark Moon Lilith, the acceptance of the curse, and Chiron is an applying conjunction with Aries. So this is something that we are going to have in a couple of days or weeks, actually. And if you take a look at the Grand Trine, it is being moved by Austria. Let's take a look why. Okay, what happened? Hold on a second. all of a sudden everything got dark, and I don't really understand why. But anyhow, here's what I wanted to show you. Look at it. So we have a Water Grand Trine, and if you look at trines, especially, they are not very productive aspects. They're nice and flowing, of course, and they can bring you happiness in many ways. But water is emotions, and it's not the least productive because I think the least productive is fire. Fire grand trines don't bring you anything but the inspiration, but it's like a flare. It flares up and then nothing happens. You need, for instance, air in order to move it. Just like water needs something else. Otherwise, it's just flowing emotions and that's it. And this is what you have here because Astrea, the karma breaker, actually pushes this Water Grand Trine to in order to understand what's happening here. Astrea, the karma breaker, makes a quincunx with Saturn, the lord of karma, and a fixed square with Pallas Athena, the wise girl. So actually, all fixed squares denote the ability to get stuck, well, the ability, actually the potential to get stuck. And Pallas Athena wisdom and Astrea karma breaking are clashing here. And still, I can tell you that this whole thing is going to move by them because an engine can produce a ton of energy, what the Water Grand Trine completely lacks. So again, if you need to rectify something with your loved ones, this is a time to do. And here are the transcendental celestial objects, nicely complementing the structure. On Saturn, you have ambrosia, the food of the gods, and Nessus, a very dark centaur. He was a ferryman who, on one day, should have had to take Deianira over to the other side, where her wife, her husband, um, Hercules was waiting for her. But instead of taking her across, he took her to an island and raped her. And of course, Hercules watched this and couldn't do anything, but he just used an arrow, which was previously dipped into the blood of the Hydra, which is a deadly poison. And he shot the arrow and actually killed Nessus. But before dying, Nessus could actually, typical Stockholm syndrome, he could persuade Deianira to keep his semen and blood, the mixture of his semen and blood, and in order to keep it in a way because it's a very potent magical potion if she wants to achieve the eternal love of Hercules. And the poor woman who was just raped believes Nessus. And actually, it is very funny because, yes, in ancient times, people knew exactly how blood and semen were the mixture of them were the most potent magical substance. But this thing is also it also has the deadly poison of Hydra. So what happens here is you have the three very potent energies mixed in one, and then Deianira makes a shirt for Hercules and dips this shirt into this mixture. When he puts it on, he burns to death. Actually, he doesn't burn to death because he can't die, because so the whole thing catches fire and he's burning. But of course, he is a demigod, so he's unable to die. But he has this eternal suffering. And then Hera, the arch enemy, saves him and redeems him and gives his position in Mount Olympus. So it's a very interesting story with black magic and redemption and healing, to complete healing. And that is why I think that this is a proper time to heal ancestral wounds, to heal relationship wounds, to heal any kind of wound, emotional wound that is linked to you in any sense. So that is on Saturn, and Ambrosia, of course, again gives you this divine energy. On Mercury, you have Tantalus, Odysseus, and Nessus. No, that's not Nessus. Sorry. what did I do? Castor. I should have put here castor. Anyhow, so that sorry, the drawing is not well, and I'm looking at it. Castor, which is Alpha Gemini. Of course, Nessus is in Saturn. I really apologize. I had very little time to put this together, and I'm making all kinds of mistakes. Anyhow, so on Mercury, I have Tantalus, which is very deep suffering and eternal suffering. Odysseus, who is of course, a Greek hero, and he was resourceful and adventurous. And Castor Alpha Gemini, which is the alpha star of the celestial twins, providing you with beautiful um, and uh, important skills to create art. On Pallas Athena, we have only one star, Zuben El Genub El Shamali, which is the pair. Zuben El Genub and El Shamali are the two scales of Libra, and both, according to Bernard Brady, are linked to social reform. And this shows that we need wisdom. Humankind came to a point where wokeness and liberalism took a form of which is really destructive. And I think we need to set the balance back. And this is what Pallas Athena may be able to do at that particular moment. And in Australia, you have Niobe and Nemesis. Again, two very strange asteroids. Niobe is the woman who has seven boys and seven girls, and is boasting about them how much more fertile she was than Leto when they had Artemis and Apollo, and uh, and of course she is being punished for her hubris, and all her kids are killed, and she turns into this rock of sorrow. So the deep sorrow is linked to Australia, and Nemesis, which is the punisher of hubris. So as you can see, we are being redeemed, but at the same time, kind of highlighted. Our wounds and our pain is highlighted. But there's also another beautiful structure in this space-time moment, an Earth-water kite. Actually, it is an Earth Grand Trine with the moon as its anchor point, and forming it into a kite. You have Ceres, Juno, Dark Moon Lilith. This forms the Earth Grand Trine. Three interesting strong feminine archetypes. Ceres is the nurturing principle, mothering, nurturing. Juno is the official spouse, the first lady, and Dark Moon Lilith is the acceptance upon us, the curse. How I don't care what you do, I will do whatever I damn bad please. And they are in Earth, which is practicality and down to earthness, and the anchor point is the moon, which is your spiritual essence and also family. If you look at the transcendental celestial objects here, the moon has Hermes, the psychopomp, the Greek form of Mercury. Ceres has Electra, who is the Cretan god, the Cretan princess who is persuading her little brother to kill their mother because she wants to avenge her father's death. So it's the archetype who makes you do stuff which she is not able to achieve. Quite interesting. And two bright stars, Rugbat and Vega. Vega is Alpha Lyra, which is up in the north, and Rugbat, which denotes steadiness and strength of Sagittarius. So those are on Ceres, the nurturing principle. And on Juno, you have Toro, the fighter, and Mizar, which is Zeta Ursa Major. We are going to look at it in a second. And on Dark Moon, you have Requiem, pain and grief, unfortunately, and Albion, which is a centaur, which is a TNO actually. And it was a figure in William Blake's mythology. He is like an Adam Cadmon figure who is actually willingly dissect himself into four equal portions in order to create the four aspects of humankind. So it's like a voluntary dissection and creation through it. That's Albion. And again, I can't help noticing that Albion was very prominent when the Ukrainian war broke out, and it's resurfacing again. And this is what I wanted to show you. This is a portion of the celestial globe and it is an equatorial view. So actually, the Big Dipper looks a little bit different. It's much bigger if you look at it in the sky. But if you were standing here on the celestial on the equator, this is what you would see. It would be much narrower. But anyhow, this is Mizar, and as you can see, it is at the bend of the rod of the celestial chariot, and it is the break. This is a broken chariot because it is unable to proper function functionally and properly work. And it usually, this star is linked to the cataclysm and how humankind was broken by it. So the fact that it is again prominent, and sometimes it's prominent. By the way, it's two stars actually. When you won't be able to see it by the naked eye, but if you watch it through telescopes, you can see that there are two stars. One, Mizar, is the much bigger and brighter, and Alcor is a tiny one. It's 80 Ursa Major, so it's not even uh, so it's not it is named, but it's the 80th star in the constellation, which has like 7 or 8 really visible bright stars. But anyhow, so there are two of them at this breakage point, and it symbolizes the fact that from time to time mankind somehow needs a cataclysm, so it seems, where we need to understand and learn and cherish what we have. And humanity is kind of at such breaking point, and it is up to us whether we allow the powers that be to break us again, yet again, or we are going to do something about it and fight back. And this is it. So anyhow, the space-time moment is brilliant for you to rectify anything what you need, and also pay attention to what is happening in your neighborhood. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.